Hört ihr das? Period 2. Lass uns gar nicht lange labern. Lass mal da reingehen.
Ihr kennt mein Wert. Hier wird nämlich Daddy. Wir zusammen sind heavy.
In 5 Minuten ist es soweit. Deso hat es gerade schon gesagt. Wahrscheinlich, höchstwahrscheinlich Akt 4. Wahrscheinlich Druide, hat man den Schrein gehört, oder doch vielleicht den Templer. Meinst du gerade, ne? Quellen sind da unterschiedlich.
Ja, genau. Quellen sagen da unterschiedliche Sachen. So. Die einen sagen irgendwie, das kommt ein Druide, die anderen sagen Templer. Ganz wild wäre natürlich, wenn jetzt der Gladiator kommt.
Das wäre geisteskrank. Wir freuen uns drauf. Das kommt
wahrscheinlich Druide ist wahrscheinlich.
Ja, glaube ich auch. Wir gehen jetzt rein.
I'm Jonathan Rogers from Grinding Gear Games.
Der Glatzkopf ist übrigens weg,
to
ne?
GGG Live. Today we're going to show you an exclusive reveal of what's coming next for Path of Exile 2.
Ja,
Twitch drops are enabled on today's live stream, so you'll be able to claim your Sun Priest's Incineration rare finisher effect by following the instructions below. Now with that out of the way, let's get started. It's time to give you a teaser of the Third Edict.
Woohoo! Hype! Log in! Oh, ich bin aufgeregt. Ich glaube, ich habe harte Nippel. Oh, geil, Maori. Oh, Krieger. Stellt euch vor, Marodeur.
Oh mein Gott. Ne?
Ja, Mann. Guck mal.
Sieht schon heftig aus.
Oh mein Gott, ist das gut gemacht. Oh, ich dreh durch. Guck mal. Oder Druide doch? Ja, oder Marodeur. Müsste Marodeur sein. Auf Karui. Krieger. Dota. Oh mein Gott, das ist er. Das ist doch der Marodeur gewesen, oder? Nein. Digga, sexy, Digga. Oh. Der Wukong war aber auch neu. Akt 4, Digga. Geil. 35 neue Areas. Geisteskrank. 24 neue Bosse.
Ja, das Support-Jet Overhaul. Das ist interessant. Was für ein Support-Jet
war. Oh, Digga. Okay.
Sonst neue Ingame-Maps, ja, neue Items, ja.
Neue Notes.
Oh, Sprinten. Man kann jetzt sprinten. Ja, aber zwei Jungs.
Ja. Und Introducing. Jetzt. Oh mein Gott.
Es ist der...
Digga, wer? Rise of the... Abby! Oh.
Krass.
Digga, wie heftig die das gemacht haben, Digga. Als neue. Okay, und neue Klasse? Keine neue Klasse?
Vielleicht kommt noch was. No new class, alles falsch. Kein Druide. Vielleicht machen die nur so Teasern gerade. Oder war das jetzt? Und das war? So,
Now, as you can see, there's a lot going on, and we have a lot to reveal today. We'll start by going over Act 4, the next chapter in the Path of Exile 2 storyline. But that's not all. There's also 3 new interlude acts to get you to endgame, which means we're removing Cruel Difficulty too. After that, we'll be going through the massive changes to characters.
Cruel Difficult wurde
I'm super excited to show you how I've overhauled the entire support gem system, added new skills, and yes, there are buffs. Next, we'll go over the rise of the Abyssal.
Ja.
Oh, Digga, Shayulamon kommt zurück, Digga. Deine Zeit, Alter.
Crafting systems, areas, and bosses that it adds. After that, it's on to changes we're making to
Bruder,
the
es
endgame.
muss eine neue Klasse
Then it's
geben.
time to talk about
Guck ihn dir links an. Bruder, es muss der Marodeur
That's
sein.
going to be a big one. We'll then go over our
Bei
new
Items und
support
Seller
accounts
offline.
to finish up with a
Oh
live
mein
Q&A
Gott.
session Where Ziggy D will ask
Das ist
Path of
huge,
Exile 2's
Digga.
game directors, myself and Mark, your questions from Twitch chat. And after that, at 4 PM Pacific, hatch notes. They're not quite complete, but they should give you some nice details to chew on.
Neue
We've got a
Klasse?
lot to cover today, but first, another announcement.
Jetzt.
When the third edict launches on the 29th, we'll be having a free weekend for Path of Exile 2.
Oh, toll, das will
That's right, Path of Exile 2 will be free for the
Ja, die
first
wollen
time
halt
without
Leute
requiring
holen,
an
ne?
early access
Die
key.
müssen halt wieder
The free weekend will
Leute
end on September the
zurückgewinnen.
1st, so you'll have plenty of
Progress
time to
is
give the
safe,
game a
ja.
try. Alright, let's get started with Act 4. The story continues from the end of Act 3. Doryani has agreed to help you find an ancient weapon that can be used against corruption, the instrument of the Third Edict.
Das
The
habe ich auch
weapon was
gehört
broken in
in
ages past, but he believes that the pieces may be found in the Karui archipelago, the home of the Karui
Geisteskrank
tribes.
gut. Wow.
You will need to journey to King's March,
Wo King's March
hire a
aus
ship, and set
POE
sail.
1?
Ja.
When you open the map, you can
Okay,
choose
das
to
ist
sail
krass.
anywhere you like.
Guck mal, wie viele
Act 4
Islands.
is completely non-linear,
Oh, guck mal.
and you can visit the islands in any order you choose.
Aha.
Ja, ja,
Will
genau,
you
das
visit
habe
the
ich auch
pristine
gehört.
beaches of Whakapanu Island? The Karui whisper of a curse that afflicts all who travel there. Perhaps it's related to the weapon you
Wow. Heftig, Digga.
seek. Or maybe you will visit the volcanic shores of
Jetzt
the
halt das
Isle of
im
Kind.
Kriegerspitziger.
The
Ja,
Kin
aber
have
ist
been
nicht der
more restless
Marodeur.
recently,
Das ist der andere.
Ja,
might
ja,
have
das ist der
decided
andere,
driven
genau.
by some dark force. Perhaps you will choose to consult with one of the local Karui
Sieht
tribes.
schon wieder so
Their
geil aus,
ancient
ja.
wisdom could hold clues to finding the Third Edict.
Oh, die sieht aus wie die von Herr der
No
Ringe.
matter where
Die
you choose to
Zwerge.
go, you will fight dangerous beasts,
Ja, also ich meinst aus den
find
von
fabulous
ja.
treasures,
Amazon.
Oh, Piraten?
Fargraves, Digga, bestimmt,
and
Digga.
battle
Was
incredible
ist denn mit
bosses.
Wukong, Digga? Ernsthaft? Wukong. Yama der Weiße. Digga, das ist...
There are 8 islands to discover,
Schon
each
geil,
teeming with
Digga.
its own flora and fauna. Act 4
Oh,
contains
zeig
over
mir bloß
100
nicht
new
den
monster
Mönch, Digga. Ich
types,
habe immer noch
16 new
Albträume.
areas, 12 new bosses,
Da.
and plenty of other interesting encounters.
Oh
Oh
There's
mein
a
Gott,
huge
die
amount
hat,
to
man
show.
hat
Ja,
ihre Titten
ja.
gesehen,
Ja,
Digga.
die war
Nippels.
naked.
We want to give you a chance to discover it all for yourself.
Direkt
What happens
gebannt,
after
Digga.
Act 4? Well,
Boobies.
until now you had to repeat the
Komm, die sind
entire
alle
campaign
freundlich.
again before you could face the endgame.
Guck mal jetzt.
But after adding Act 4,
Da.
the game is far too long to make you do that. We needed something else to do in between the end of Act 4 and the endgame. So what else could we do? Add 3 new mini-acts, of course, and we're calling them the Interludes. The Interludes are a set of 3 temporary side stories that will be included in the game until Act 5 is released, that will take you to level
Ooh.
65 where the endgame can begin. The first interlude sends you on a journey back to Ogham. Renly has been leading the efforts to rebuild Ogham village after the defeat of Count Geonor, but there's a new danger afoot. The nearby town of Holton is surrounded by an impenetrable darkness. And
Also man
each
geht dann
night, the
wieder
corrupted
zurück in die
townfolk
Gebiete und
emerge to
macht
raid the
dann
local
neuen
farmlands.
Content. Okay, krass.
You will discover new areas
Boah, das sieht so mächtig aus, Digga.
and new
Bro.
bosses. You'll need to find your way through the darkness, uncover the source of corruption,
Wow.
Oh,
Soon you will serve our
oh, das sieht
master.
schon geil
And
aus,
defeated.
Oh,
Digga.
Yes, I shall dance with that cool.
Oh mein Gott.
and that's just the first interlude. The second interlude
Digga.
will have you return to the Vasteri Desert, where Asala has been given a sacred duty.
Man geht wieder in die Wüste,
When the
okay.
skies align, the gifting of water requires a chosen Sekima to meet with
Ja.
the Selkari, guardians of the sacred water. But they're nowhere to be found. You will need to track down the Selkari. Find those
Endlevel.
responsible for disrupting the gifting. Fight even more new bosses.
Oh, sieht die geil aus, Digga.
Discover the secrets of the ancient ritual.
Digga,
Discover
Bruder.
new locations. And ultimately help Asala carry out her sacred duty.
Digga, Last Epoch tut mir so leid, Bruder.
Now for interlude 3.
Naja, ich meine, lass Epoch ist eine Woche
As
vor,
royal
Digga. Weißt
thaumaturge
du?
of the Val, Doryani has
Also
plans
morgen.
within plans to save his
Das
people
ist
from a
schon-
cataclysm perpetuated
Also
by
es ist genug,
Atzeri's
um es
lust
zu
for
zocken,
power.
Digga, für eine Woche und dann
One such
halt,
plan involved sealing a group of willing Val
so wird
deep
es halt
in the
wahrscheinlich
great
sein, dass
mountain
viele das
vault
machen
near the
werden.
home
So,
of
die
the
werden
Asmeri, deep enough to
Lass
survive the
Epoch spielen eine
cataclysm.
Woche,
Even though
so
thousands
durch
of years have
und dann
passed, he believes
direkt
that
in
their
POE
descendants
2
may
rein.
still live, and may be key to defeating the beast.
Hä?
The journey up the mountain will be dangerous.
Ah,
New
seh
foes
ich mich
stand
doch
in your
wieder,
way.
Digga. Mit dem Crossbow.
And the further up the
Wilhelm
mountain
Tell
you venture, the
2.0.
colder it will become.
Willem Tell, Digga, kommt irgendwie. Ich hab den bis jetzt ganz Zeit schon Willem Tell.
Explore
Ich
caves
immer
of
wieder.
ice and
Ich mag
enter the
den
vault
Crossbow.
itself.
Ja?
Who can say what you will find within?
Oh mein Gott.
The interludes are 6 to 7 areas each and generally include 4 boss fights as well. When you put that together with Act 4, that adds up to 35 new areas in the campaign and 24 new bosses. It's worth making clear that the interludes are temporary. When Act 5 and 6 are added, the interludes will be going away. These are side stories after all, but don't worry, the bosses and areas that make up the interlude are all part of the endgame. We're not just going to throw them away. And with that, we don't need cruel difficulty anymore. We do know that it was a pretty big chore to have to play through the campaign multiple times on each character, and this was a huge reason that the campaign could feel like a bit of a slog when playing through again. But we do also have another new feature to address that particular concern as well. So let's talk about
Sprinten, ja Mann,
sprinting.
aber das ist echt gut.
In 030, when you hold down the dodge roll button, your character will go into a sprint after they finish the roll. This is available on all character classes, and there's no limitation on how long you can sprint for.
Wow.
The primary purpose of this feature is
Besser
to make
als in
navigating
Diablo
areas
2,
faster
Digga.
when out of combat.
Und kein
Because of
Limit.
that, if you do
Kein
take a hit while
Limit.
sprinting, you'll fall to the ground.
Oh.
The best idea is to use a skill when you see monsters. That'll break you out of the sprint so you can engage with no danger. If you do need to run away from monsters, just hold spacebar. You won't be vulnerable during the roll, and you're faster while sprinting than basically any monster in the game, allowing you to retreat from combat. Sprint is a pretty significant change to PoE 2's gameplay. What I like most about it is that we can accelerate the pace of the game for those who want that, without having to compromise on PoE 2's more visceral combat systems. Okay, so that's the new extensions to the campaign, but there's a whole giant league to play through as well. I'll leave that to Mark to talk about later. And that's because what I want to talk about now is the new stuff for your characters. And probably one of the biggest new systems here is with the support gems.
Aber
Now, support gems are one of the most interesting elements to creating a build.
Okay.
They're what enables so many interesting
keine Ahnung,
mechanics
das
and
stimmt.
different ways to play. But PoE 2's support gem system has just never been quite right. One of the major issues is the limitation of only having one support gem of each type on your character.
Ja, das
We
hat
didn't want
genervt.
builds
Die
to just
heben jetzt
become
auf.
using the same 5 most powerful supports in every skill. The problem with this design, though, is that it's actually working against using multiple skills in your build. If you can only use each support gem on one skill, it means that you're encouraged to go all in on that one ability. And we want to encourage you to combo your abilities, something needed to change. So with that in mind, we've removed the restriction of having
Ja.
one of each support gem per character.
Oh
Wow.
You
mein
can now
Gott.
use as many copies as you like.
Digga.
Aber das wird
This
so
should
richtig
drastically
kein
increase the amount of
kranken.
possible
Ja, ja.
builds
Ja, das wird
and
so
increase
richtig
the amount of
kranken
skill diversity.
Kombinationen führen.
Ja. Geisteskrank.
There
Multiply,
are a lot of
multiply,
potential
Digga.
builds
Oh.
that suffered from the previous restriction. For example,
Come on.
a poison build previously couldn't add poison to more than one skill. They couldn't use stacking poison on more than one skill either.
Ja, endlich.
This severely limited your ability to
Wow.
combo with anything outside of the
Ja, die Attacke
specifically
ist
designed
neu, oder?
poison archetype. But now you
Sieht so
can.
aus, ja.
Many utility skills previously couldn't scale to endgame because the supports that would make them scale
Ja,
were
genau.
more useful to use in other skills. You would never speed up killing Palm with martial tempo, when you would much rather use it on your primary skill
Boah,
instead.
Digga, ich sehe doch jetzt
There are
schon.
more
wie
Nein,
das
niemals,
kommt, Digga.
niemals. Nein.
Jula, 2.0, Digga.
In addition to that, though, we thought there wasn't enough feeling of progression in the supports as you went through the game. There were only 3 tiers of supports, and many of the most important ones were given out
Ah,
at
die
tier 1.
neue.
Also,
Ja,
there were no
Brutalität.
strict upgrades, meaning that upgrading supports when you ran out of sockets required quite a lot of thinking. In order to solve these issues, we now also have multiple levels of many supports as you go through the game. For example, double barrel support gives you an extra bolt, but at the cost of 30% less reload speed. At tier 2, the penalty gets lowered to 20%. But then at tier 3, the support gem gets something
endlich,
new.
Bruder.
It now reloads automatically when you heavy stun an enemy.
Geil.
In some
Automatic.
cases, the
Digga,
highest tiers
was
might work a little
bauen die,
differently,
Digga,
and you'll have to
Bruder?
decide if you like
Wenn
the
die das
upgrade or not,
machen?
depending on your build.
Digga.
For example, rapid
Ja, die
casting.
werden doch wissen, dass
The
es
first couple of levels gives 15, then 20% increased cast
erstmal
speed.
richtig krass
But then at tier 3,
unbalanciert
it
sein
changes to a new approach. For each different spell you cast in the last
Bruder,
8
wo ist
seconds,
neue
you get
Klasse?
10% increased cast speed. Which
Digga,
could be
was
a
er
da
pretty
macht,
big
Digga.
bonus if you use a lot of different spells.
Chill mal.
So that's pretty good for upgrades through the campaign. But we wanted to add a
Lass die
little
doch
more
mal
spice to
kochen,
the
Digga,
in-game
dann
for
kommt schon
supports too.
was, glaub ich.
And that's where
Let
our new
them
system,
cook.
lineage supports, comes in. You can think of these like unique items, but for supports. There are supports that are only available at endgame, but they're much more powerful. Like Ratha's Assault. It's an
Oh
upgraded
mein
version
Gott,
of double
neue
barrel
Sachen?
that reloads your skill as you dodge roll, as well as increasing the number of bolts it can hold. But it does mean that it's the only way you can reload the skill now. Now, unlike regular supports, you can't find these through the uncut support gem. Just like unique items, many of these can be found from specific bosses.
Oh mein Gott, oh, das ist krass, Digga. Also gibt's jetzt dann
And there's a
extra
ton in the regular
Gems
drop
von
pool
Bossen, von den Pinnacles? Boah, das ist krank,
Some of
Digga.
them are fairly rare. Others fairly
Plus-
common.
Da sehe ich
Some of
dich.
them are build defining.
Okay.
Ich will mal gucken, was ich
Oh, jetzt
finde.
gibt's
Straight up
Totem.
power
Dings. Was hat er denn gemacht?
All in all,
Ich
there's
spiel
around
den Mensch
40
nicht.
lineage supports being added throughout the endgame, so there's a lot of power to find out there. Now, the new support gems are certainly going to open up a lot of builds, but of course we have a huge range of improvements to individual character classes as well.
Zeig.
As well as adding new skills, we had a big focus on buffing existing skills so that they can scale well into the endgame. There's a huge amount to cover here, so we're not going to discuss everything. We're just going to quick fire through some of the coolest changes. We wanted to make cold a more useful element on the Ranger, so we've expanded the
Ja,
cold
weil
tools
der Ranger ja auch so schwach war.
Na,
as
aber
well as
kalt.
increasing its range.
Cold
Escape
Skills
shot
waren
now creates
wirklich nicht
fragments
so
of
geil.
ice whenever it hits the ground.
Ging,
These
aber wenn man
fragments
es kommt,
explode after a
also
short
wenn man
time,
es
making your
vergleicht
skill
mit
better for killing
Elektro,
groups
was
of
das
enemies.
das
But not only
beste
that, we
Ding
added
ist, so
an
was
ice
man
fragment
spielen
support
konnte
that
bei
creates
allen
more of them
die.
when killing frozen enemies. And a new buff skill called Ice Tipped Arrows that allows all your arrows to create ice fragments.
Oh, wie schön das aussieht, Digga.
This already gives clear to rangers wanting to use ice. But to
Ach,
take
guck mal,
further
unser Freund
advantage of the
der
ice
Affe, ja.
fragments, Freezing Salvo has been upgraded to shoot additional cold arrows towards every fragment, giving you a nuke-like ability.
Sexy.
We've also modified Snipe to consume frozen from enemies, dealing a huge amount more damage, giving you a nice ice single target option.
Wow.
And something you might
Snipe.
notice about this is that the bonus is a lot higher against bosses. This is actually a change you'll see throughout the entire game. Since it's a lot harder to freeze a boss, you should get a bigger reward for it.
Boah.
Another
Digga.
theme you'll see throughout the game is making movement feel better. Toxic Growth is a skill that was pretty cool, but a bit annoying to use with the jump
Digga,
dash.
Toxic Rain, Bruder, jetzt, Digga.
Now Toxic Growth is a range skill, so you can
Multi-Shot,
spam it more
Dings und
easily.
so, Digga. Ekelhaft. Guck dir das an, Digga.
And we've
Schwester.
also added a new poison skill while we were at it, called Toxic Domain.
Toxic.
It creates a small area around you that makes all your attacks create toxic growth pustules, but attached to monsters. Another skill that was annoying to use was Electrocuting Arrow.
Ja, hat.
It's now just a regular
Boah,
arrow
guck mal, wie
that you
OP
can
das
easily
ist,
use.
Bruder, wieder. Guck mal.
But it also
Guck mal.
means you can support it with
Digga,
projectile
Bro.
supports. And it now also has area of effect, making it a tool for more than just single target,
Digga,
and
Bruder.
allowing it to scale into the endgame. We also added a new spirit reservation called Mirage Archer.
Kennen wir doch.
This is a meta
Ja,
skill that
kennt man,
allows you to
aber
create
gab's
shadowy
halt nicht
clones
in
of yourself
Q2.
to use a skill of your choice.
Guck, was er macht, Digga.
Of course, one of the other big problems the Ranger had was survivability. Evasion was the weakest of the three defenses, and we wanted to change that. Currently, evasion doesn't evade all types of hits in the game, so you're still vulnerable to
Alle
things like
Fragen,
slams or
Fragezeichen,
unblockable
hä?
attacks.
Hä? Invasion, schlechteste?
To make
Digga, das
evasion
ist
characters
eine
more
Lüge.
tanky,
Also,
we're
das
adding a
ist
new
wirklich eine
mechanic
Lüge,
called
Digga.
Deflect.
Also, Evasion war die beste mit,
Unlike evasion,
natürlich,
Deflect works on everything. And if
yeah,
you
like
successfully
Deflect, yeah,
deflect the
warte.
hit, you take 40% less damage.
What?
Items can now give you a mod that gives you some amount of deflection based on your evasion.
what the fuck?
And there's a bunch of it available on the passive tree too. Deflection is rolled in addition to evasion, so this is an upgrade for regular hits too. And unlike
Guten
evasion,
Abend.
there's
Was
no
geht ab,
maximum
Tim?
chance.
Schön, dass du
You
da
can
bist.
reach 100% deflect against all hits if you
Moin.
spec into it enough. Of course, this is a buff that helps all Dex characters, so the Mercenary and the Monk, but especially the Huntress, are seeing big defense boosts from this as well.
Geisteskrank. Digga, ist so
Speaking of
big,
defensive mechanics, let's talk about block and parry.
ist so
Now,
big.
one of the big concerns on the release of the Huntress was
Sehr
parry
schön.
feeling
Liebe geht
unreliable.
raus, freut mich.
One of the big reasons for this is there's a lot of hits that are not blockable,
genug
and thus
gekriegt.
not parryable either. So a huge balance change we're making is that now everything is blockable, except for specifically unblockable
Everything.
skills that bosses
Everything.
use.
Das ist so komische
Ja,
Balken.
außer ein paar,
This
außer ein
makes
paar
parrying
die
much more reliable.
unblockbar sind.
And not
Also
only
so
that,
er hat
to
gesagt,
make
alles.
block and parry nicer to use, you now also move faster than before while using these abilities. This is a massive buff to passive block as well. So to counter that, we did have to lower the max passive block a bit, but overall you should feel much safer.
Ja, geisteskrank. Dreh durch.
Fire skills on the warrior were not really cutting the mustard, so we
Ich bin
decided
gerade
we needed
richtig
to
drin.
upgrade a bunch of
Gerade
them, but also
neu,
add some
alles
more as
neu,
well.
die Weltpremieren gerade.
Let's start with a buff. Volcanic fish are now branches into multiple fishes,
Oh, da sehe ich
giving it
mich.
much more
Guck
clearing
mal jetzt.
potential.
Wenn das so aufgeht, Digga, ist so krank, wenn er sich so dreht.
We've also added a new skill called
Hier,
Forge
Force
Hammer.
Hammer, guck mal.
This skill throws
Oh,
a
was?
massive hammer that
Okay,
does
Ja,
ja, oh
Digga,
mein
böse,
Gott,
Digga.
Hammer,
You
diese
can
Hammer,
hammer
die.
back by using the skill again if you like.
Oh, aber kann er sich
But the
drehen?
cooler thing to do is to use a Warcry near it.
Digga, das wäre
Using a
heftig.
Warcry makes the hammer
Oh!
explode, making a bunch of volcanic fishes around. Volcanic fishes re-trigger when you slam them, so it's a great skill to make a flaming arena to fight a boss. We also buffed Perfect Strike to have much larger area of effect,
Hässlich.
And changed Molten Blast to not always force you to move forward. Trust me, it feels a lot better to use now. The skill now has massively boosted chance to ignite monsters as well. And you're going to want to ignite monsters due to a new glory skill called Ancestral Cry.
Boah.
Ancestral Cry charges up with glory by igniting
Ja, aber da
monsters,
sehe ich
invoking
dich
King
nicht.
Cows to leave it. After you do, use it to channel Cows and Ancestral Cry. Every attack will be ancestrally boosted with fire.
Oh my
Ja,
god!
Every steps will
Ja, aber
explode,
das sehe ich
triggering
nicht,
volcanic
ja.
fissures. And molten balls will erupt from your attacks. Warrior shield skills were another area we wanted to improve. Now that we've
Ja,
got sprint,
am
we
Sterben
actually
hab
don't
ich
need to have a
gehört.
cooldown on shield charge anymore. It now also does more damage the further away you
Digga,
are
mach
when you use it.
Schildwurf, Bruder, bitte. Auf Captain America, Bro.
Shield wall got significantly upgraded
Weiß
AoE.
ich nicht. Feiern.
Also, you can shield charge right through it to trigger all the walls. We also added a new shield war cry. Fortifying Cry gives you a defensive buff, but it also builds up charge on your shield that empowers your other shield skills. And Magma Barrier now doesn't require timing in order to use. Just wait for your shield to charge up and block.
Wild. Oh, Bruder, das war krass.
Seismic Cry now stuns enemies that are primed for stun. And we changed the Sunder interaction with Armor Break. It now also gives a Sundered Armor debuff that makes enemies take 40% extra physical damage. Great for bosses. Ancestral Warrior Totem has undergone some pretty significant changes too. We wanted the skill to feel more like using an ultimate. That summoning an ancestor to fight for you was a big deal. So we've changed this totem to require 3 endurance charge to
Oh,
summon,
das ist krass,
and
also
massively
wirklich.
buffed its damage.
Digga.
It also now scales with your weapon damage too. Since there's no limit anymore, if you build around generating endurance charges, you can summon an entire forest of totems. In order to make
Wenn
that
die Lüge
easier,
raus, danke, das
we
war
added
das.
some new sources of endurance charges.
Wild.
There's now a support to make perfect strike generate charges, and a support for generating endurance charges from heavy stuns as well. Speaking of totems, we wanted to upgrade the Warbringer. Among the other changes we've made to this class, Answered Call now gives an extra totem, and the spirits have just been generally
Was
buffed
geht
in
ab?
many ways. Use it with your limitless ancestral warrior forest to make an army of Karui that would make Tukohama proud. We've also merged the Great Wolf Howl and Warcaller's Bellow support, so that you can
Ich
get all the
hoffe,
benefits
es
with
kommt noch
one
eine
point.
weitere Klasse, ey.
Das wäre wild, ja.
And Encased in Jade no longer removes the Jade when getting hit, making it a much better defense. Next up, let's talk about accuracy. Accuracy was always intended to be something that warriors didn't need to care about very much so long as they're in close combat. But unfortunately, that's not currently the case. This was particularly annoying with skills like Bone Shatter, which you certainly don't want to mess with. So we significantly buffed your chance to hit at close ranges when you don't have much accuracy.
Heftig.
Warriors shouldn't require any accuracy investment in order to hit with close range attacks now.
Boah, Digga, schon böse, oder?
We also wanted to improve armor. And one
Armor.
of the major weaknesses of armor is the inability to defend against elemental damage. In order
Oh,
to
das ist
mitigate
krass.
this, we're adding a lot more of the stat that allows your armor to defend against elemental damage. It's now available on items and in a lot more places on the passive tree.
Endlich, Digga. Gott sei Dank.
One of the most important
Also ich
improvements
fand,
we've made in
Crossbows
030
waren
is to
nie
declunk the
komisch,
action and flow
aber-
of shooting crossbows. You can now reload crossbows without any movement penalty.
Ah ja.
But not only that, all skills that can be used while moving now slow you for a shorter amount of time. This change benefits everyone, not just crossbow skills. With both of these changes put together, the
Digga,
run and gun
Crossbow,
playstyle
Mann, ich
feels
schwör's
much
dir.
better.
Digga, gib mir einfach eine ab, Digga.
It's hard to explain
Ich
how
mag,
important
ich
this
mag
change is
einfach
for
die
the feel of the
Crossbows,
class.
Digga. Frag mich nicht
The
warum.
Mercenary is also
Der
a
ist auch
good chance to
heftig.
talk about how we're rebalancing to make comboing skills much better.
Digga.
Take Shock, for example. It buffs damage and lasts 4 seconds right now. But that isn't really giving you enough time to take advantage of it. If you're going to add a lightning skill into a build that
Digga, sowas
otherwise
brauch
wouldn't
ich
use
nicht,
one,
Digga. Ich nehme einfach
we need to
diesen
make mechanics like
Bogen,
this much
mach ein
better.
bisschen
So
Lightning
with increased shock duration
drauf
on
auf
monsters
den
to last
Gegner.
8
Und dann
seconds.
wird dieser eine Schuss da einfach...
And skills like Plasma
Tot.
Blast, which are intended to be good at shocking enemies, now increase the damage bonus by a lot more.
Digga. Jetzt.
You'll
jetzt
find
hab ich
changes like
das
this
Snap.
all around the game. Chill now lasts 8 seconds, giving you more of a reason to weave in cold damage.
Ja, Mann.
Freezing skills are better at freezing. Burning skills need to cause burns that last longer. But making skills like
machst du da?
Permafrost Bolts and Incendiary Shot double down on how they're supposed to be used, it makes using them in your build alongside other skills much more likely. We're also making sure to buff specific combos too.
Ooh.
On the Infernalist, the Demon form wasn't something people were really using because you
Okay.
lost your weapon stats while transformed. Well, you no longer do, so it's a much better option now.
Ah, Digga. Monk, Digga. Chayula.
On the Monk, the wind skills needed a big upgrade for sure. Staggering Palm can now stack up its duration if you use the skill multiple times in a row, so you can keep the effect of all your skills throwing up wind much more easily. Wind Blast had the purpose of building up to dazing an enemy, but dazing just wasn't worth all that effort. Now it just dazes on hit, meaning a single Wind Blast will make all your skills stun enemies more easily. Following up with Vaulting Impact on a dazed enemy previously did a bunch of stun. Now it allows you to break your enemy's stance. When their stance is broken, following up with a fast attack will do way more damage. A cool build that certain people always enjoyed in PoE 1 was hand-to-hand combat, but until now we just didn't have a real way to make it viable. Well, that changes now. The monk, as a true martial artist, now has the ability to learn the hollow palm technique, a keystone that lets you use all quarterstaff skills while unarmed. All quarterstaff attacks now have a special unarmed version, and you get further bonuses to all your attacks from stacking energy shield and evasion on your character.
Was das, Digga? Wow, oder was? Bro.
A new keystone we also added to the monk section of the tree is Walker of the Wilds. This changes Mana Leech to work with elemental damage instead of physical,
Ja, guck mal, Mana Leech
which is pretty useful for those elemental attacks the monk has, but it works well for the range
Ja, Mann!
too.
Digga, Chayula! Oh, Digga!
Now,
Oh
one
mein
of the
Gott!
least used ascendancy classes in the game is the Acolyte of Chayula, so we knew we needed to make some changes here. One of the key things we had to do was make the chaos damage that the Acolyte can do much more useful.
Oh.
So we've added a new skill, allowing chaos damage to ignite, shock, chill, and freeze, embracing the elemental prowess of the monk in a truly chaotic fashion. In addition, he can make all of his chaos damage leech. And we've buffed Into the Breach and Embrace the Darkness by moving the effects of the 4-point nodes into the base skills. He also gains a new notable, Grasp of the Void, which leaves void illusions behind you as you dodge roll. If they're killed, they do massive explosions of darkness, dealing damage to everything in sight. Now let's talk about Sorceress skills. One of the things we wanted to improve on the Sorc is the ability to use multiple elements together more effectively. Now, this might seem small, but one of the things pushing you towards using a single element is debuffs like Elemental Curses, which lower resistances of a single element. In order to fix that, we're making quite a lot of game-wide changes to these kinds of mechanics to broaden what they apply to. So for example, there's no longer 3 curses for fire, ice, and lightning. Instead, there's just a single curse that buffs all 3 at the same time. And things like Frostbomb, which gave you cold exposure, now give elemental exposure. You can use it to buff any of your other skills.
Da muss man noch mal auf jeden Fall im Detail rein. Ich will das Video auch nicht zu lange haben.
We also wanted to make switching between different weapons over to Mark.
As you just saw, even though there are major changes to the campaign for this update, we want to make sure that every time you come back for an expansion, each area feels different with something extra going on. It is really important to make sure your experience when returning between expansions is fresh and filled with new content. And the way we did this was through leagues. Every expansion we make has a league, which not only has a fresh economy, but also has new content exclusively available in that league. So, let's delve into the details of what Path of Exile 2's first official league is bringing to the table.
First official league.
The Abyssal are a race that have mastery of forbidden magics and necromancy. They were thought to be extinct, but have merely been biding their time underground. You first encounter signs of the Abyssal in Clairfell, where you discover that during the night, weaker members of the Undead Legion have been attacking the encampment. The townsfolk require your help to investigate where the monsters are coming from and put a stop to their attacks.
Out there, ancient creatures, lurking beneath the surface.
As you proceed through Rayclast, you'll find fissures in the earth connected to larger pits. The monsters normally inhabiting the area are being affected by it, harmed by it even, having their souls eaten to strengthen the abyssal underground. As you defeat the monsters, the fissure closes and abyssal emerge, angered by you killing their food. Once all those fissures have been sealed, the pit activates, and more abyssal pour out. This is where the larger and more dangerous monsters reveal themselves, as hordes of abyssal spew out from the pit to take your soul. If you kill a magic pack, then magic abyssal arise. If you kill a rare, then a rare monster will emerge from the pit, having absorbed some or all of its modifiers for itself.
Wow.
This means the monsters emerging will generally be more difficult and more rewarding, as each modifier gives better rewards. If you are able to kill them all, the pit will seal shut. As each pit is closed, it reveals a potential
Geil
reward.
gemacht, wie das aussieht, wie das da
Abyssal
rauskommt.
troves will rise up out of the pits, allowing you to get some epic loot.
Epic Loot, zeig mal. Wo? Wo waren da epische
Areas
Loot?
often contain many pits
Für
with
Purify
many
ist es.
fissures, and the amount goes up as you progress through the game, getting more intense. It doesn't stop there. When monster mods are absorbed,
Der
they
Monk,
have a
Digga,
chance to
Alter,
become
Digga, ich sag
infused
dir,
with
der
the dark
Monk mit
necromancy,
Elektroangriffen
transforming
ist
them
einfach
into
Killer.
abyssal modifiers. For
Der
example, you
Elementarmonk.
defeat this monster with the Mana Siphoner modifier. Their soul is eaten by the pit, and a rare monster emerges. The Mana Siphoner modifier
Das wäre
has
schon
transformed
traurig, wenn
into
es
Soul
keine neue
Siphoner,
Klasse gibt.
and is now amplified in danger
Oh,
and
Digga, was war
reward.
das gerade mit dem Winter am Ende, Digga?
Abyssal pits also interact with other monsters and
Ja, diese
mechanics.
Flammen, Digga.
If you defeat a rogue exile that's near one, it'll be revived as a Lichborn that has multiple abyssal modifiers.
Oh,
Lichborn exiles even have their own unique jewel they can drop, if you are lucky enough to encounter and kill them.
Ja. Das ist das nächste
If an
Problem.
abyss spawns near a boss, killing it will summon a gigantic Giga Larvae creature.
What the hell?
Monsters imprisoned in essences near abyssal pits are affected by the abyss too. They will come with an additional new essence item that can be used to craft your items. So, that's your bread and butter of the Abyssal League. Kill surface-dwelling monsters, kill the emerging abyssal, close the fissures, overcome pit encounters, and reap the rewards. There's a lot more to this league, however. As you complete abysses, you can find ancient pieces of bone, preserved from the remains of fallen Lichborn. These are one of the many rewards for your mission to seal the pits. You can use this on a rare item to imbue it with abyssal magic, adding a special hidden modifier to your item. But how do you reveal it? In Act 2 of the campaign, you'll encounter a new area. This area is overrun by the Abyssal and the Lost Men. After clearing through this area, you'll find the Well of Souls, a giant cavity with a massive vortex of souls
cool aus.
swirling beneath you.
Da kann man jetzt entweihen hier so. Sowas.
So how do you reveal the mods on your Abyssal-infused items? Obviously, just
That's
throw
you.
them in, right?
Sehr
Yes, that's exactly what you do. Before throwing it in, you are given the option of how you want to transform it, in the form of a choice of 3 different modifiers. Once you've chosen your desired mod, throw it in, where it will absorb the power of the souls, and the ominous creature will then retrieve it for you.
Schmeiß den da rein.
These modifiers can be ones from the
Cool.
core mod pool, all the way through to specialized modifiers that cannot normally appear on items. During the campaign, you can use it as a way to more easily add useful existing mods, but during the endgame, there is a
Nice
whole
gambling.
set of new and powerful mods you can add to your items. Like this mod for crossbows, that allows you to place an additional ballista totem.
Wow.
Or this one, that adds spirit to your staff.
Spirit?
Or this one, that allows you to generate more combo with your quarterstaff
Digga,
skills.
böse, ne?
And speaking of endgame, you can also use the system to craft waystones.
Nein.
With a preserved vertebrae fused into your waystones, you can get some new modifiers that push difficulty and rewards to new heights.
Was denn?
Here are some examples of those mods.
Oh,
You always get a choice of 3, so you can avoid anything you don't think your character is capable of.
Bruder, geistkrank.
With this modifier, the natural inhabitants of the area are all spawned near abysses. And there are up to 9 additional abyssal pits in the area, making it just a
Der
full-on
Monk
abyss
ohne
ruckus.
Waffen ist auch crazy, oder? Oder?
Or this one, which causes the final abyssal pit in the area to
Digga,
always result
Bruder.
in a boss
Was
encounter,
ist das? Maschine,
be it
Digga.
either one underground or one that emerges out.
Dark
There are
Domain.
dozens of these waystone modifiers in total you can get from this crafting.
Crazy, Digga.
That covers
Das
the new
ist
crafting
crazy,
mechanic.
Digga.
So what's left? Well, we talked about how when closing pits you can get abyssal troves, but sometimes when closing an abyss, you'll reveal an underground cavern that leads to the abyssal depths. After jumping into the depths, you'll find an abyssal city, swarming with legions of the undead. When underground, every single rare abyssal enemy will have an abyssal modifier. And at the end of the dungeon, you'll even find a rare with a more powerful Lichborn modifier. Once you're able to defeat this powerful rare, you can also find some nice rewards. Aside from the entire area being valuable due to the abyssal modifiers on the monsters, it has its own specific drops too. One example is a set of lineage supports that can rarely be found in these depths, like Kurgel's Leash. This support empowers both you and your minions when you command them, granting unholy might to you both. Another depth-specific outcome is a set of omen-like items that amplify your abyssal crafting. Additionally, we're adding some new socketables that can drop from the abyssal depths. Take Ulliman's Gaze, which can be socketed into your armor. These are a bit special in that you can only have one equipped at a time, but give some pretty powerful effects. Think of them as almost a unique socketable for your equipment. In the endgame, where you can still find depths, you also start to find a different type of underground chamber. In these areas, you'll find an ancient spire, a device being used by commanders of the abyssal factions to plunge Rayclast into a lightless void. Your goal is simple: kill this commander and destroy the spire. There are 4 bosses in the Abyss League, and there are some pretty cool uniques available from them. An example is this belt, Darkness Enthroned. It has 2 sockets. But hold on, socketables don't work on belts. Well, this belt has a special mod that allows it to count as a different slot for the purpose of socketables. This one, for example, counts as a helmet. I kind of want one that counts as a body armor. I wonder how rare that one is. You can also find this unique jewel, Undying Hate. This jewel transforms part of your passive skill tree into an abyssal version, and has multiple depths. The deeper it goes, the more of your passive tree is affected, allowing you to fulfill your fantasy of becoming part abyssal lich. Now, the last thing that abyssal commanders can drop is a Finger of the Lich. But what use do you have with a random undead finger? Well, the next time you return to the Well of Souls, with the finger in your inventory, your character will almost feel compelled. To do what, though, you might ask? To jump in.
Was?
The items you threw in came back more powerful, right? So, what's the worst that could happen? Well, you will just have to find that one out for yourself.
Oh, Vision heiß machen!
And the interlude,
Schreibt's mir in die Kommentare. Was wartet auf uns, Leute?
These maps will contain all the new monsters and bosses we're adding, improving variety and giving you opportunities to experience the new boss fights many times. Let's take a look at some examples. Rock Pools is a map where you explore a shallow rocky coastline, surrounded by coral and filled with sirens.
Crazy.
At the end is a giant goblin king boss, ready to eat sulfite and squish you like a bug. Holton is an Ezomite township which has seen better days. Explore and clear the township to find a gothic, reaper-like boss, with the ability to manipulate storms and fry you with both lightning and wither you with chaos.
So würde ich gerne kämpfen wie er, Digga.
Given some of the new bosses added are a bit more epic, such as the Act boss and final bosses of each interlude part, it would be a bit of a waste to just use them as regular map bosses. Instead, we'll be adding some new mechanics to the Atlas that use them. These start appearing pretty fast into the endgame and will help bridge the gap until you do your pinnacle bosses. In the desert biome, you can encounter a wild sandstorm. 3 maps around the sandstorm contain a device you must activate. Upon doing this, the sandstorm's magic is disrupted, revealing the map inside and allowing you to access it and find the cause. This presents itself in the form of a boss, similar to the existing Citadel bosses. This boss is a Faradin Swordmaster, who has been blessed with the power of a Time Djinn, allowing him to take his swordsmanship to the next level by replicating himself, maneuvering rapidly, and severing the fabric of time itself with his powerful slashes. In the water biome, you'll encounter a giant maelstrom, where one of the maps surrounding the water biome connects to it, but the connection is obscured. You must run the maps nearby, hoping to find a beacon, which will remove the maelstrom and reveal the connection to that map. Another example is this Vaal vault in the mountain biome. But how do we get inside? Running the adjacent maps to it will yield a key, which you can then use to gain access to this vault. Or, you could just trade for one, I guess. Use the key to dispel the powerful force field surrounding it, leading to the Vaal Elite and their rewards inside. These all contain Uber versions of the Act 4 boss, and the bosses at the end of each part of the interlude.
Die Tower sind weg.
And each have their own exclusive drop pool of new lineage supports, which, as Jonathan spoke about earlier, are powerful support gems that modify your skills in pretty crazy ways. As an example of a lineage support which can come from the Faradin Swordmaster mentioned earlier, we have Gurukhan's Resolve, which causes your critical strikes to fork, but requires some mobility. Thunderfist is a pair of gloves that grants crackling palm, a skill which empowers your unarmed attacks, granting the ability to call down the storms themselves on enemies you hit. Put simply, literally every monster you hit with your unarmed skills will be struck by powerful items. Pair this with the aforementioned hollow palm technique to embrace your true unarmed prowess in combat. Another unique we're adding is Henekura's Sight. Equip this amulet to be granted the power of the Mother of Death herself. This is reflected by granting you a skill called Foresight. While you have Foresight, your dodge roll no longer avoids hits, but instead, being hit while dodge rolling restores you to full life and makes you unable to die for a brief period of time. You'll notice when this does occur, a copy of your character appears and takes the full damage. This is you seeing that future, as if you hadn't been wearing the amulet. Ultimately, your endgame experience should be more streamlined. With new content to find, you'll be able to invest in your Atlas trees sooner, engage with pinnacle content faster, but what about crafting them? We've taken a step back and looked at some of our crafting systems to make some notable improvements. Let's start with essences, which suffered from an issue where the regular essences were effectively useless and didn't give players the tools or excitement that a crafting system should provide. To alleviate these concerns, essences are being changed in a few ways. Firstly, they're being changed to function like regals and add specific modifiers with specific values, meaning you know exactly what you're going to get. We found that players were often bottlenecked by regal orbs when crafting in the campaign, so this helps to fill that gap, allowing you to better upgrade your items. For example, this Lesser Essence of Flames, which will be able to add a flat amount of fire damage to your magic martial weapons. Secondly, we're adding many more tiers. That Lesser Essence of Flames, for example, has a regular variant and a greater variant too, adding even more fire damage with each upgrade.
Toll.
The intention of this is so that when you find one early on, you don't worry about holding on to it till later to use on a higher level item. You should feel free to use them as they come to get powerful upgrades during the campaign. Lastly, our highest tier of essences, now called Perfect Essences, will function like a Chaos Orb instead of a Regal. So it will replace one of the modifiers on your rare items with the specified mod. Such as this Perfect Essence of Flames. You'll notice this one doesn't just add flat fire damage like the ones before it. The Perfect Essences often give something a bit different, with some opportunities to be pretty damn powerful. There are many different essences, each with many tiers, covering many of the more core modifiers you'd want on items early on, through to chase specialized ones for endgame. Speaking of endgame, we really wanted to expand our crafting options for late endgame crafting projects. You might have noticed that at endgame, you get way too many transmutes. Wouldn't it be nice if some of those didn't drop, but instead you got something a little more powerful? At higher levels, you can now find Greater Orb of Transmutation and Perfect Orb of Transmutation. These can be used on normal items to upgrade them to magic, ensuring that the modifier generated is of a minimum level. This is similar to how you find higher tier items on the ground, but for crafting. These higher tiers will also exist for Orb of Augmentation, Regal Orb, Exalted Orb, and Chaos Orb, meaning you can get all of the orbs required to take your item from normal rarity to a fully completed rare with guaranteed high tier mods.
Gut, das heißt, du kannst also
On top of these new core crafting currencies, we wanted to make sure there are powerful crafting bases to use them on. Now in endgame, you can start to find exceptional items. These are items that drop at normal rarity and are perfect for your from-scratch crafting project. They can come with extra quality, up to 30%, or an additional
Also macht man
socket
nicht
to
die
use
Rarität,
crafting
sondern so nimmt
socket
man halt nur diese spezifische,
And yes,
um
they
dann nochmal
can be
höhere Rolls
corrupted
zu
for
haben.
yet another socket.
Oh, was? Das kennen wir doch schon.
You can also get exceptional unique items.
Was?
To add even further to your crafting arsenal, we've added a whole suite of new omens to ritual content, and removed some of the more unimpactful ones that weren't being used. Some of the new omens include the Omen of the Ancients,
Was?
which will cause your
Uralte?
next orb of chance to not
Oh
destroy
mein
the
Gott,
item.
macht also
but
derselben
generate a
Klasse,
random
also wenn du es
unique of the same
aktivierst,
class.
garantiert ist, dass ein Orb
Or
of
the
Chance
Omen
immer
of
ein Unique
Sanctification,
macht.
which is my new favorite. This
Okay,
will cause your
das
next
heißt, man
divine
kann
orb
also
used on a
so,
rare
also wenn du
item to
genug davon
reroll the
stackst,
values of
Digga.
its
Oh,
modifiers, allowing it to
Win-Scamble-Video.
exceed the normal minimum and maximum values,
Ancient Omen
raising the ceiling on the
Gamble-Videos,
new
Digga.
most
Orb
powerful
of
rare
Chance,
items in the
Digga.
game.
Und rein, Alter,
This
damit.
omen will also cause your item to become sanctified. Sanctified items cannot be crafted, just like corrupted ones, so consider carefully when you use this.
Digga, Bruder, was ist das denn jetzt,
Another
Digga?
is the Omen of
Lass mich
Chaotic
Ruhe mit den
Monsters,
Craften, Digga. Ich
which will
kann's
cause your
nicht
next
fressen.
Chaos Orb to reroll all modifiers
Digga,
on a
oh,
waste stone,
da wird Gamble-Videos
allowing you
kommen,
to
Digga.
fix your maps if you get some
Kannst
modifiers that are
einen,
not feasible for your
Captain,
build.
Alter, da werden die Gürtel rausgeholt, Digga.
Besides these examples, there is a huge variety of new omens for you to discover in your ritual encounters.
Traden.
It's
Traden.
finally
Ja,
here.
zeig mir.
The
Sogar wenn man
moment
offline
we've
ist.
all been waiting for.
Endlich.
Fully asynchronous trade.
Nein.
Over the years, the way players trade with each other in Path of Exile 1
Lieb-
has
Entf-
morphed
oh,
from
Digga,
using
weißt
the
du, was krass
forums,
wär?
Sie
Wenn
müssen
du
traden
in-game
für
chat,
Preis. Sie
Ja,
müssen traden, ja.
ja,
all the
Warte,
way
warte,
up to
Digga.
using the website.
Warte.
These systems, in all their iterations, work for a while, but with each iteration, new problems eventually reveal themselves. Be it requiring you to be in your hideout too much instead of out there killing monsters, or
Ja,
never
boah,
getting
wenn die das
responses
jetzt
from
machen,
people
Bruder,
who are
ich
either
denk,
AFK
oh,
or just
Ficken
can't
den
be
Markt,
bothered.
Digga.
In order to finally solve this, and this has been a long time coming, we're adding a new system that allows you to buy items from other players without requiring the seller to be present.
Wow.
They can continue farming, killing monsters, AFK as they please, and can even be offline. With the introduction of King's March in Act 4, you will encounter Ange, assistant to
Also ich
Rog in
find's
the
auch krass, dass die
Meridian
einfach
Free
wieder
Traders
King's
Company.
March wieder zurückbringen, Digga.
Over the last 2 decades or so, since Path of Exile 1's storyline, Faustus has handed down his knowledge and expertise to Ange, and she is now ready to take over his business.
Oh,
If you
perfekt,
have a
Digga,
hideout
sofort
unlocked
machen,
already,
meinen
you can
krassen-
immediately
Ja,
invite
alles
them.
rein, Bruder. Ich give a
If you
fuck.
don't have a hideout yet, you will need to acquire one. You can do
Oh,
this by
praktisch,
completing
Digga,
a
muss
quest
ich
to
mir aus der
defeat
Map
one of the
raus, Digga.
bosses inhabiting an island in Act 4.
Ja.
Allowing you then to take a slice of it for yourself, making it your new home and base of operations. Once invited to your hideout, she will now serve as operating your currency exchange, but also serve as the figurehead in your new trading empire. So, how does this new system work? In the existing trade system, you would list items for sale in premium stash tabs. And then when someone wanted one, you'd have to take it out for yourself and trade it to them. Now,
Oh,
instead
Digga.
of using those,
Warte.
you can give
Was
your
was
items
krasses?
to Ange so she can sell them for you. Each
Guck mal.
item must have a price
Warte.
set.
Sind das neue
The prices are
Stash-Tabs?
set using
Die musst du
in-game
wahrscheinlich
currency
kaufen.
items, such as Exalted Orbs or Chaos Orbs. Once a price is set, other players will be able to find the item by searching for it on the trade website. Once a desired item has been found, you can hit a button, which will instantly teleport your character in-game to their hideout. Then, you can immediately purchase the item. And while
Wow.
there, if you want, browse their other goods.
Was?
In case
Oma,
there's a good deal
was?
someone else hasn't yet discovered. You'll notice that as a buyer,
Digga, du
on
kannst
top of
richtig
the currency
einkaufen
the
bei
seller
dir.
set for the
Ja, aber
price,
hast du gerade
it
gesehen,
also
was
costs
da
gold to
war?
purchase an
Ich glaube,
item.
da war
As Ange has bills
eine.
to pay after all.
Oh, wie heißt die?
As a
Die
seller,
Six-Link.
you'll
Ja,
immediately
ja, ja,
receive
die
a
Brust,
notification
ja,
when
ja,
an
Ich
item of
weiß
yours
es,
is
wie
sold.
heißt die?
And
Oh,
can also see an
Tabula
effect
rasa?
above Ange in your
Tabula rasa,
range
ich glaube, die
when
war
she has
gerade zu
unclaimed
sehen.
currency. Just go talk
Ich
to
kann
her,
schwören,
claim
man
your
hat gerade
currency,
Tabula rasa
and
gesehen.
continue playing at your leisure.
Digga, das ist so gut. Oh mein Gott. Das hat mein Leben verändert. Ich
As
liebe
many
PoE.
people already acquired premium
Oh my
stash
God.
tabs for the purpose of the trade system, we wanted to add a way for you to convert your existing tabs
Yeah,
to
Merchant Tab
merchants
Upgrade.
tabs.
Muss
If
man
you want.
umwandeln.
You can do
That's
that
right.
here on the website, but only if you purchase those tabs before the release of the third edict. To clarify, the existing trade system will remain fully intact, so your premium stash tabs will not lose any of their functionality. We
Das
just
ist
figured people might want to switch over to this
schwierig.
new system. We expect a lot of feedback around this new system,
Aber man
and
braucht
are
neue
looking
Tabs
forward to
oder
trying
muss
it out with
alte
you.
upgraden, okay.
As we are not able to test internally with an entire, thriving economy, there will certainly be some kinks to work out.
Wow.
Based on how the
Wow.
system goes,
Geil.
we will be adding it to Path of Exile
Wow.
1 when ready, so any of the tabs you purchase will also be usable there later.
Oh, neue Supporter Packs.
Next up, we're going to
Will
be
das jemand
talking
sehen?
about our new supporter packs.
Will das
Digga,
jemand
ich will
sehen? Komm,
Supporter
guck mal,
Packs.
was
Today, we're launching
Geld
two new
ausgeben.
series of supporter packs. The Justice
Oh.
and Trathen Executioner packs.
Alles so ein.
Each tier contains the pack's
angelehnt, ne?
full face
Ach so,
value in
ne?
points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions.
Digga, mit
As
so Dämonen,
always,
Digga, die
the
spielen einfach so
microtransactions in these
Gamble,
packs
Alter.
are purely cosmetic,
Ja,
do
Würfel,
not
die,
affect your
ja.
character's
Ja,
power
das
or
ist
progression
das schon
in any
ganz
way.
geil, Digga, sag ich dir ehrlich.
The Justice series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. Claim glory after defeating enemies, or inspire your allies by calling down the banner of
Guck mal, wie
Justice
schön,
portal.
Digga, mit diesen Engeln. Oh, für
The Sphinx
Digga.
Mystic hideout decoration will identify items for you, displaying them as it does so.
Weiß
This
ich nicht.
ancient creature has been presented with many items over the eons, so has some strong expressions to make on the quality of your wares.
Mammukul.
Become a true warrior,
Oh,
worthy of
Apostel
delivering the justice of the eternal
der
gods
Gerechtigkeit.
with the Apostle of Justice armor set.
Nee, ich weiß
This
nicht.
armor set also comes with a matching back attachment containing a set of scales to measure your worth.
Müsst
With the
jetzt hier.
Apostle of Justice finisher effect equipped, the Goddess of Justice herself will appear to decide on a verdict for slain unique enemies. Witness as she decides the fate of your slain foes. Will they ascend to be amongst the gods or be banished to the underworld?
Böse.
The Griffin fledgling pet will be your courageous companion as you journey throughout Rayclass.
Kleiner Greif. Oh.
Take your place in the skies on the plateau of the
Digga,
gods.
Olympischer Thron, Digga.
This
Olympus.
comes with many different sections for
Digga.
setting up your
Oh mein
Nein.
Gott, das ist der
base
weiße
of
Baum von Ding.
operations.
Yggdrasil.
In order to
Nein.
travel
Ach,
between
von Herr der Ringe.
you simply
Ja.
just need to walk off
Oh,
the edge.
was?
Like a true eternal god, you can
Okay,
float
das ist
between
so.
the mountains on the clouds themselves.
Digga.
The Trathen
Die
Executioner
Dämonen,
pack
die
series
würfeln,
also
ja.
contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. The Trathen Executioner finisher effect is a brutal
Böse,
display of Trathen
böse,
might,
Böse.
crushing slain unique enemies as if they were bugs beneath your heel.
Digga, Bruder, böse.
As a Trathen Executioner, you're the perfect master for the ever-hungry carrion raptor pet.
Weiß ich nicht.
It has taken a particular liking to the taste of other pets,
What the
and
fuck?
at your command it will swoop down and eviscerate them, proceeding to satisfy its hunger by feeding on their corpse.
Weiß ich nicht. Fühle ich nicht.
The nobles of the 4 major
Ja.
Trathen houses had their mercenaries, but if their hired hands became notably irritating, they'd have to call in the Trathen Executioners. You can now embrace their methods and become brutality incarnate with the Cruel Trathen Executioner armor set. The matching Cruel Trathen Executioner cloak will shroud you in
auch irgendwie
scarlet
einen
as you
Mönch
crush
gezeigt
the
hat.
skulls of your
Ja, die
enemies
wollen mit dem
and leave
Mönch
a
aber
trail
auch,
of
ne?
blood behind you as you build up a kill
Conan,
streak.
Digga.
Or use the alternate variant to simply put a skeleton on your back. Be bathed in blood as you mutilate monsters with the Cruel Trathen Executioner character effect. The swirling blood increases in volume as your spree of slaughter continues. Both this effect and the cloak use the same kill streak for tracking how much blood is shown.
Gamble.
After a long and tiring day of executions, Enjoy a relaxing
Oh mein
game of
Gott, man kann
dice
an diesen
with the
Ding, das ist
Goblin
ein Gamble
Gambler's Hideout
Decoration.
decoration.
Oh mein Gott,
They'll
Digga, da
definitely
kannst du
be
einfach
playing
Gamble
fair,
vereisen.
right?
Oh,
The Pulverizer map device brings a
das
horrid
denn?
efficiency to punish
Digga,
the
was
damned of
ist das dein Portal?
traffics.
Also,
Each map
nicht
you
Portal,
open will
hier
execute the
Ding.
next
Map
victim.
device.
Ja.
This map device in its true ruthlessness tracks the total number of monsters killed,
Wild.
your kills per second, and your
Ja,
largest kill
okay,
streak
das
up
ist
to the
wild.
point of the
Das
map
ist
being
wild,
completed.
Bruder. Das ist böse.
This is then displayed on a leaderboard, so you can take a measure of you and your friends' violence at the end of each map.
Wild.
Additionally, any microtransactions from the supporter packs will be made available for use in Path of Exile 1.
Ich sag mal so, es ist schon crazy, dass sie die neue Klasse nicht bringen. Auf der anderen Seite bringen sie so viel Content, so viele krasse Sachen, sie müssen eine neue Klasse noch nicht bringen. Warum? Wenn Diablo den Paladin bringt, Bro, dann bringt POE eine neue Klasse. Oh, warte jetzt hier. Mal sehen, was sagt er denn?
Absolutely monumental.
Warum hat er sich so scheiße an?
We now have a suitably juicy Q&A session for you.
Weiß nicht, aber
Also, ihr Süßen, es war geistkrank. Ich muss sagen, sie haben es für mich persönlich geschafft, mich abzuholen. Jetzt könnte man natürlich über die neue Klasse streiten und sagen, ey, geht gar nicht. Ich persönlich, klar, wäre der Gladiator gekommen, wäre ich wahrscheinlich. Aber die haben noch so viel vor. Das meinte ich auch gerade zu Deso. Das, was die da bringen, ist was Diablo in 5 Add-ons nicht bringt. In dem ganzen Spiel nicht bringt. Was die jetzt für die erste Season bringen. Das muss man denen ja lassen. Und ja, Video ist sehr lang geworden. Schreibt mir in die Kommentare. Wir werden dann nochmal in den nächsten Tagen einiges nochmal einzeln auseinandernehmen. Liebe geht raus, kommt gerne vorbei. Wir sind auch immer live auf TikTok. Und wir werden natürlich jetzt bei Last Epoch reingehen. Und wir werden bei POE reingehen. Und wir haben natürlich auch wieder Giveaways am Start. Digga, das Video ist lange genug, meine lieben Haus da rein. Ihr süßen Peace, Kuss auf die Nuss.